Look, that's a good question. First of all, we are in a place we've never been before, right? From the outset of this whole COVID crisis, this is all a case of first impression. People want the definitive answers. There are no definitive answers. We have done in New York, God bless New Yorkers, they went from the highest infection rate to the lowest infection rate in the country. And we're doing everything we can, and we're doing it well, and we have the virus under control. But now you come into the fall, colleges are opening, schools are opening, flu season starts. We're still in the middle of this. Uh, People want certainty, but this is a time without certainty. The best we can do is this: we can get the best information and the best facts so that you can make the best informed decision for yourself and your family. This is not about government making decisions. This is much more essential than that. This is your health, your child. And the best way I can help is to make sure you have all the facts. On schools opening, you will see uh, cases develop. You will see that. That is going to happen. You'll see clusters of cases. Will it be your school? Nobody knows. We started a website where every school has to report every day. I know people are anxious. How do you battle anxiety? With information and facts. We have a website, School COVID Report Card, .health.ny.gov. A COVID report card that the schools will do. So you'll know exactly what's happening in your school, what the clusters are, and then parents will make a decision. Will there be disruption? Yes. You'll see schools close for a period of time. You'll see parents, when they see a cluster, take their child out of school for a period of time. But that is to be expected. There is no certainty. There is no straight line. There will be blips and there will be disruption. But that is okay. That is okay too. It's unnerving, it's confusing, it's annoying as heck, but you'll have the information. You make the decision for your child. Yes, there are certain thresholds. We call them guardrails. The state has rules. If a school has more than this percentage of positive cases, if the number of positive cases are going up at too fast a rate, then the state will step in. But before the state, uh, the parents will step in. And that's why my whole thing all through this is get people the information because it's your child. It's my child. You know who's going to make the decision about my child? I am. No government official is going to tell me what to do with my child. But I would appreciate it if the government could give me accurate information. And that's what this website report card is. So you don't have to, there's not a lot of doublespeak. Here are the number of reported cases. And then the school will say, this is what we plan to do. And the parents will make the decision. If it gets very bad or if it gets dangerous, then yes, the state steps in and says, we're doing this, period. But I think we have to get to a point where we understand we are in a period of immense disruption. And our normal life and our normal pattern has been changed dramatically and will be for months. will be for months. But get the information, inform yourself, and make the decision that you're comfortable with. That's what I advise people. Great, fine. We do general guidance on the state side, right? This is a diverse state. Long Island is different than Buffalo. We have the Adirondacks, which are different than New York City. Uh, it's very often that one size doesn't fit all. I have gathered the best, most informed experts, literally in the world. Okay, we have people from China advising us, and people from Europe, and they look at the risk that the sport poses. How many people are involved? How much of it is contact play? How many coaches? How many staff? How many times are they on a bus? How many times are they in a locker room? How many times? So they look at all the various factors and they make decisions. And we then say, we think this sport could go on. We think this sport is too dangerous. And then I say, but, capital B-U-T. It's up to you. Suffolk is different than Onondaga County. Nassau is different than Essex County in the Adirondacks. You make your own decision. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Sports. Uh, the basic metric is this: I am most concerned that we have essential services, especially when they are low risk. When you get to sports, uh, some people don't want to hear it, but you can live without sports. You can eat, you can breathe, you can survive without sports. So it's up to you and your school district to determine if you want to do it or not. Yes, you're taking a risk. Is the risk worth it? It's worth it if you determine that it's worth it. And I fully defer to you. I defer to parents on whether or not their child should go to school. I defer to the local school district as to whether or not they want to do the sports. If you don't want to do the sports, don't do the sports. God bless. Look, we are now down to the last tranche of businesses, right? The businesses that are not open are the larger congregate businesses, many people in one room. Many people in one room is not a good thing as a general rule. Movie theater, many people in one room, one ventilation system, inside. These are the most problematic scenarios. Movie theater, concerts, uh, comedy clubs, nightclubs, indoor dining, which we've started. Um, these are the most problematic. How do you gauge? This is how I gauge, and it's math. Your governor, Tara, the infection rate should not go over 1%. You want to be about 1% infection rate meaning the virus is spreading at a transmission rate of 1%, which means, by the way, hundreds of people go into the hospital every day from COVID. 1% sounds like a small number. 400 people every day go into the hospital with COVID. Okay? So 1% is not de minimis. But we can handle 1%. So we want to open as much economic activity as we can and stay at 1%. We are at just about 1% every day. We're a little up, a little down, but it's always about 1%. You want to drive the car as fast as you can. Yes, but you don't want to speed. And the speed limit is 65. You're at 64.5 miles per hour. That's where I am. I have my foot on the gas, opening the economy as fast as I can without going over 1. And we're tiptoeing around the 1%. So why don't you open more higher risk businesses? We're right at the limit. You look at the daily numbers. It's 0.92, 0.98, 0.99, 1. We don't have a lot of margin for error here. And that's a good thing. You know, I want to drive at 64.9 miles per hour if the speed limit is 65. And that's the calibration. And that's right where we are. And as much as we can open, and I open more every week, by the way. We just opened more in New York City dining, etc. As long as we stay under that limit or at that limit, we will increase opening businesses. God forbid we have to go to a second lockdown. There is a step between a second lockdown and where we are. If you see the numbers start increasing, start taking measures immediately. For example, we have parts of the state that tick up over 1. You can watch it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. But if you see that there's a chronic issue, react immediately. React immediately. Not go to lockdown, just dial back the economic activity. We do a lot of testing. What is testing? We do more testing than any state. Testing gives you information. We do about 80,000 tests a day. We know where the positives are coming from. You can trace the positives back to a college, or back to a school, or back to a restaurant, or back to a demonstration. If you see that colleges are creating positive cases, which, by the way, they are right now, then scale back on the colleges. You don't have to go to lockdown of everyone. You would dial back that activity, okay? I'll give you a silly analogy. I like to weigh 200 pounds. I get on the scale every day. If I'm 201, I know I have to be careful today. I don't wait to get to 212, and now I have to take dramatic action. That's what these numbers are doing for us. We're at 1 every day. Okay, we're now at 1.5. Uh-oh. Where are they coming from? They're coming from restaurants. Okay, scale back the restaurants. We have that level of sophistication now because we have that amount of information now. When we started, Tara, we knew nothing. The virus came here from Europe. Nobody even knew it was coming from Europe. The federal government was atrocious. They told us it was in China. It wasn't in China. It was in Italy and Spain. And for 3 months, we had people coming here from Europe bringing the virus, and nobody knew. And all of a sudden, the virus went crazy. It was like fire through dry grass. We had a blunt instrument, close down everything. We have to stop the fire, close down everything. We now have more information and more detail and a more sophisticated answer. But we do have to be careful because we're coming into the fall. I'm telling you, the colleges are a problem. I'm telling you that. Every college that is opened, almost every college has presented a problem. I don't want to get to shutting down any parts of the economy. If anything, I don't want to see past possible scaling back on a worst case scenario, but not to shutting down. These are the facts. Let's talk facts on nursing homes, right? We're in a political year, and everybody is accusing everybody of everything because that's the ugliness of politics, right? And in politics, you accuse the other side of doing horrendous things because many people think that helps you in a political contest. And there have been many accusations about nursing homes. Why? Because the states that had the most deaths in general happen to be Democratic states. The highest number of deaths in every state were from nursing homes. Why? Because nursing homes are where elderly people are, and elderly people are most subject to COVID. That is a fact. COVID attacks the old, and it is most deadly to the old. Whether you're in a nursing home or you're in your own home, it doesn't matter. Well, many people died in nursing homes. Yes. And it was terrible. If you could rewind the whole tape, because now we have the facts. You know how people died in nursing homes? First, because they're the vulnerable population. But what happened early on was two things. We didn't know the virus was here. Not to bore you with details, the virus was in China last December, okay? January, February, March, the federal government was still talking about stopping the virus in China. The virus wasn't in China anymore. The virus got on a plane and went to Europe. And January, February, March, 3 million Europeans came to the New York area and brought the virus, and it was spreading. We didn't have our first case until March. It had already been here, January, February, March. We just didn't know it. So the virus came without warning. Second, we were told that people with symptoms spread the disease. Excuse me. That's what the federal officials said, if you remember. Sneezing, coughing, yelling, droplets. That's how it was spread. That was wrong medical advice. The virus can also be spread by a person who has no symptoms whatsoever. No symptoms. So what happened was the staff that worked in the nursing home were infected and were going to work. And they walked the virus into the nursing homes. even before we knew the virus was here. And even once we knew it was here, we were told you can't spread it unless you have symptoms. That was wrong. And we now have all the numbers. The staff brought the virus into the nursing homes. Not maliciously, nobody knew. If you look at the nursing homes that had the worst outbreaks, they are in the communities that had the highest number of cases. So if you have a nursing home in Pickett, in Brentwood, and the employees are coming from the Brentwood community, and Brentwood had a high infection rate, then that nursing home had a high infection rate. How did we not know the virus was here? Good question. And I hope this federal administration changes that, and we actually have a federal public health capacity that's much, much better. How did we not know it was spread what they call asymptomatically, without symptoms? I don't know. We need better medical experts than we had. But that's why the cases went into nursing homes. Having said all of that, if there's another virus tomorrow, it is going to prey on the people who are most subject to the virus, and it's going to be older people with a less effective immune system. Even this, because now I just replay the tape all day long. Even if we knew back in March asymptomatic spread people who are asymptomatic could also spread. We didn't even have the testing capacity to test the nursing home staff that was walking in, Tara. There are hundreds of thousands of nursing home staff. We could only do, when we started, 500 tests a day. 500. When we started, this nation had no testing capacity. We could do maximum, when we started, 3,000-4,000 tests per week. 3,000-4,000 tests per week. You have a couple of 100,000 nursing home workers. If you used all your tests just for nursing home workers, you couldn't have tested them. But that's how the virus got into nursing homes. From the workers, before we knew it was here, before we knew asymptomatic spread was possible, and that is in the numbers. That is in the numbers. There was no precaution that we could have taken that we did not take. We're being very careful, and we're being smart, and every parent is being smart about their child. And the state will have guidance. Part of this, Tara, is everybody makes their own decision. I give the people of New York the best information. I give them facts. Just facts, not Democratic facts or Republican facts. There is no such thing as a Democratic fact or a Republican fact. The fact is a fact. I give them the information. Then give them my opinion. Let me tell you what I do with my child. I would not send my child trick-or-treating. I would do it in a very controlled circumstance. I would figure out a way to have a nice time and put on a costume. But I would not send them door to door. That's my 2 cents. That's my opinion. My children will tell you I'm hyper cautious and I'm hyper controlling. And then they will tell you and lament to you how difficult it is to live with an overprotective parent. But that is my opinion and my advice. You will make your own decision for your own son, what you do. Do you put them in a costume and do it virtually? Do you put them in front of a computer? Do you walk them around and have someone else go up to the door? We'll have state guidance, but this is a decision that's going to be made by every parent, and some people will be more cautious and some people are less cautious, and that's human nature. And I would never, government has no role in telling you what personal decisions you should make. Give you the right advice, give you overall guidance, but it's going to be up to parents, and I would urge them to be careful. This is not over. This is not over. We're coming into the fall, colleges, school reopenings, flu season. Who knows what this virus does, if it mutates, if there's a second wave. I would urge caution, and then parents will make their own decision. Well, we will have guidance on trick or treating. Trick or treating is not a defined activity, right? You can get creative with trick or treating. You have a virtual Thanksgiving Day parade. I would not ban trick or treaters going door to door. I don't think that's appropriate. You have neighbors. If you want to go knock on your neighbor's door, God bless you. I'm not going to tell you not to. If you want to go for a walk with your child through the neighborhood, I'm not going to tell you you can't take your child through the neighborhood. I'm not going to do that. I'll give you my advice and guidance, and then you'll make the decision what you do that night. We're doing something very cool tomorrow. Cool is not an official government term. We are going to be off Point Lookout, off Jones Beach, about 3 miles, creating an artificial reef by putting old rail cars into the water about 50 feet deep. These rail cars, along with other equipment that we're going to deposit, old ships, old turbines, heavy steel structures, will be dropped into the ocean. They will form a reef. The artificial reef does several things. Number one, it's helpful to stop erosion of the shore. Number two, the reef creates a fishery. Fish need structure, and off the south shore of Long Island, you have just basically a flat sand bottom. Fish, crustaceans require structure. That will help the overall ecology of the region. That will help spur our tourism industry. Fishing it just increases exponentially at these reefs. People dive, so the reefs we're putting in are interesting from a diving point of view. You can dive down and see a shipwreck. You can dive down and see old railroad cars. It's really wild. I've seen photos by underwater cameras. It's really cool. And other parts of the country have done this better than New York has, frankly. In the old days, you could go to the Department of Defense and they would give you surplus military equipment, tanks, battleships, and they would sink them as artificial reefs for shore protection, etc. And they developed fishery and diving sites, and they developed whole economies, tourism economies around these areas. I tried that. Department of Defense no longer does it. So this is interesting, Tara. I was reading in the newspaper Wells Fargo, which is a big railroad line. There was an article in the paper. Wells Fargo had a lot of old rail cars that were no longer usable, but they didn't know what to do with them. I called them up and I said, "Give them to us, and we can clean them because we take off all the lead paint, etc. And we'll use them for an artificial reef." And that's what we're doing. These are rail cars. They're not subway cars. They're not commuter cars. They are steel boxes used to transport lumber, heavy material, etc. So, from a quality of life point of view, part of Long Island is just the beauty of Mother Nature and the beaches and the parks. This will enhance it. It costs very little compared to the benefit. Wells Fargo gave us the old rail cars. We put them on a barge. We go out and we drop them in the ocean. I love to fish, and from a fishing point of view, this is great. But fishing is not just fishing. Fishing is a whole tourism industry. The boating industry, by the way, has gone gangbusters this year because it's one of the safe activities that you can do during COVID. Put your family on a boat and you go out and you can get out of the house for some time. So it's creative, it's adventurous, and it's what makes New York, New York. We'll be dropping in. We have first of all about 12 reefs that we're doing. This reef we call the Hempstead Reef off Point Lookout, but we'll be dropping about 20 cars tomorrow. Weeks, weeks. It's amazing. And you see the full cycle, right? First, you start with crustaceans on the structure itself. Then there are clams. Then there are mussels. Then there are small fish that feed on them. Then you have sea bass, and then you have tautog. It also helps with the striped bass fishery. So it really, in a matter of weeks, because they send down these underwater cameras that take pictures of the development of the reef, and it's fascinating. 1 year, it's just dramatic how many fish are by the reefs. That's why all the fishermen, all my fishing buddies, want to know the exact location of the reef so they can plot it into their GPS and they can go out and fish right at the reef. But we're not going to tell them, Tara. They have to go out and find it themselves. This is about a 700-acre reef. There is some material there already, but we'll be adding to it tomorrow. We have a 70-foot ship that's going down. We have turbines from a reactor that are going down, and then these very large rail cars. But the rail cars, don't confuse them with normal train cars. These are very heavy-duty cars. And then years ago, they used subway cars. Yes, but I'll tell you what happened. The subway cars and commuter, what they call commuter rail cars, which are like on the Long Island Railroad, they had steel superstructures. They then went to subway cars with aluminum superstructures, aluminum skin, because they're lighter, and the aluminum actually didn't hold up. The wave action, the current action, destroyed the aluminum. So they don't do that anymore. These are heavy steel box cars that are used. And yes, I do have the GPS coordinates of where the reef is. And yes, it's one of the perks I get as governor. I keep the GPS coordinates to myself. And yes, when I fish, I know right where to go, Tara. I would like, I said to high schools, elementary schools, this reef building is going to be online. It's going to be streamed online. I think it's educational to watch. I think it's exciting. It's different. So I think people would enjoy uh, tuning into it just to watch it. I'm going to be out there on a boat and watch it happen. But we're dealing with a lot of tough stuff and COVID, and it's good to see that life still goes on, and we can do other things at the same time, and we're moving forward. And it reminds us that we have a beautiful state and beautiful Long Island and beautiful beaches and great recreation. And I tell you the truth, I'm going to enjoy the break to be out on a boat. First time I've been out on a boat all summer, and the summer's over. So it'll be a break for all of us, and I think we need one.